when I was a kid, I was at the library and I was like, I need someone who I can like stand for. I want to be like a huge fan for this person. At the time, well, still now to this day, I liked cats and I wanted somebody black. So I'm looking through the library books and I'm like, who can I like? Can I find this character?
Mm-hmm.
And so I found this character called Black Panther. At the time, his artwork made him look like, in my mind, oh, that just looks like Batman without a cape.
Do you remember what run this was?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's telling us.
I was just asking, but go ahead.
So I'm like, oh, that like nobody's gonna know who this is. This just looks like Batman without a cape, and like I can't like I want to be a fan of this guy, but I don't think I can be a fan of this guy. So in that moment, I actively chose to like put him aside because I did not think he would ever be famous, and I didn't think he would be cool enough. And I chose Batman, and so begins why I have so much Batman gear. Little did I know, 20 years down the line, that there would be
You could have been up on it.
like, and so
Ahead of the game.
and so I feel really upset with myself because it's like, damn, I should have trusted myself. And now I'm at a point where it's like I feel like I cannot be a fan of Black Panther the way I want to be because I had my chance, and it's like I guess I should just either one accept it and just be like, all right, I missed that boat and I'm a Batman fan. 2, burn all my Batman stuff and then just buy all Black Panther stuff. Or 3, be an adult and just be like, I can like 2 people at the same time.
I vote for
That's
3.
a great one. I vote for 3 as well.
3, only because the cost, right, of where you
the cost of my alabaster.
the price that has gone into the fandom of your Batman. Like, not many people have access to your house to know how much of a fan you are of Batman.
Sure.
I do. I've been there. So, that's a lot of money, man. I would recommend against it.
Also, to be fair, I was not technically wrong because when I was a kid, there was not a ton of Black Panther stuff for me to buy.
There was not a lot of Black Panther merch. A lot of his stories, without him, if you take away his African and his blackness, is default.
He's just another guy.
Because he's rich, smart, and fights bad guys.
Fights bad guys.
Fights bad guys.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, if you take away his blackness and his Africanness, like he stops being a king, right? He's just rich, has access to resources, and
I feel like you can't take that away from him, though.
but if you take
That's
that
what
away,
I'm saying.
but I'm
Batman
saying
is
that
literally
if you reduce
Batman
that-
is just money.
right. But if you reduce all of that, then he does kind of level out to be a Batman. But adding,
Interesting.
I think I don't know if that's more problematic or on the same line of problematic as how I feel.
no, first of all, you're talking to an actual fan. Like,
Sure.
when I tell you I know the runs of Black Panther and when it changed from like Kirby and Stan Lee writing this and it just being like
It looked like
concerningly problematic.
when I remember when I saw him, he literally looked like he was wearing just like a black leotard and like
cape.
socks on
Yeah.
his like hands.
Yeah, because they really
Well,
didn't
to be
give-
fair.
they didn't give life to the vibranium suit
Right.
until the Christopher Priest run, and even then they don't talk about it too much. And then what's his last name? Never get it right. Eric.
Killmonger.
No, but he is the person who introduced Killmonger.
I was there.
And they gave life to like Wakanda and the Afrofuturism and all of that. That's when you start to see a shift in his clothes and like what it means when he wears it. But anyway,
All right, you've heard it
Yeah.
here first. Out with the bat and with the cat.
sure,
Oh, I like that.
I'm with it.
I like
I'm just
that.
saying, why out with the bat? You can have both.
Why not
You
both?
can have both.
Why not both?
But then that's not fun.
Exactly.
No, be a stan. Pick one and
Pick
hate everything
one.
else.
Exactly. Let it all burn down.
Sure. I
Yes.
guess. I don't know how to. I don't know how to pick one of Marvel. So I guess Thor. I'm a stan of Thor.
You are.
I'm a big stan of Thor.
Wow.
But I'm also
learning
a fan
stuff.
of Black Panther.
That's
But
fine.
you know,
I would have been.
I've been here. I've been.
I'd have
in
been
these
Jay
streets.
Chala. It was all I
Jay
picked out.
Chala.
It was all picked out for me.
It was destined.
It was all picked out for me, and I was just like, nope, I'm gonna conform to pressure that I put on myself from future people who don't know who Black Panther is.
Hello.
Hey.
Good evening. How are you? It's us. The
It's
Blerd Bar.
us.
You already know who it is. It's Big Dan.
Big Dan.
Road Dan. I'm
Rodan.
coming to you live from the
In
215.
Those
I'm a comic book connoisseur, your Somali of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to another episode of BNR.
Booze, news, review.
We gotta record that so it's a button. That'd
That's
be great.
true.
Oh, that'd be great.
Give me one less thing to do.
Right? Just take away Josh's job.
Hey,
That's what we do here. We take
capitalist.
jobs away. I'm never by myself because if I was and having all this dialogue, I'd be concerned, and you should be too. Josh is in the room with me, so I'm gonna kick it over to
Hey,
Cobb.
I'm there too.
You are
You are there.
in
You
spirit.
you just gave it away. I'm Cobb, formerly known as Queen Cobb. As
She's
of
been
today,
dethroned.
to this day.
She rescinded the throne.
I was about to say,
She
if she's been
rescinded the-
dethroned, that's
yeah.
not good.
No,
Not dethroned.
rescinded. You stepped away.
I stepped away.
Yeah.
I stepped down. So I'm Cobb,
Just Cobb.
aka
JC.
Okay.
aka the video game Ventress, the support character with boundaries.
Boundaries. Fences.
And
Denzel Washington. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, can we cut that? And Cobb is currently coming up with another adjective to describe her self, and that is pending.
It's okay.
.com.
We can just put like a blank space there
It's
and
just pending.
throw in a bunch of other adjectives like greatness, blackness.
We're gonna
you
let's
know,
make it a poll.
royalty.
Make it a poll. What's
Make it a
up
poll.
next?
Oh, you want people to give you your nickname?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Feel like it'll be a mixed bag.
I feel like
I wouldn't
we
mind-
now
I
have
wouldn't
a
mind
new
a-
Instagram activity.
I wouldn't mind obnoxious Cobb
Obnoxious
that.
Cobb.
OC.
OC.
or noxious Cobb.
Noxious.
Noxious. That's poisonous,
That's
isn't it?
that's concerning.
Yeah.
Are you that kind of toxic?
Hey, I mean, we were just talking about Poison Ivy and
Poison.
how Poison Ivy's like a bit relatable and noxious Cobb. I like that. We'll work on it.
Noxious Cobb.
All of this is still being workshopped by Cobb.
NC.
But
In other news,
last but not least, JHawk. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good, you know. Last Descendant of Yasuke, sub over dub for most, if not all, anime. Salsa Dancing Ninja, stay on his toes, got a sake flight ready to go. It's your boy Hawkins Hanzo.
Now, if you notice, we did none of our sounds, so if you could press all three of our sounds
At the same time?
at the same time, let's
At
do
the
it.
same damn time.
That wasn't awful.
that describes
It
today's
was not.
episode.
It describes the state of mind in which we are currently in.
So surreal.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, Cobb is virtual at the moment,
Rich you ass.
but she's
Yes.
always here because she never leaves.
Never left.
But
I'm
we
literally
have a
right
review
behind
soon.
y'all.
Yikes. Concerning. We are going to review the booze
The
for the
booze.
evening. And
We
it
have
is
Ooh.
then Vieux Carré. You have to say it with like that because it's
Oof,
French.
you wanna wipe that mic off. Or you're not.
Nah,
it's his
it's
mic.
fine.
He can do whatever he wants.
Oh, he can
Wow.
do whatever he wants.
Vieux Carré.
Now I want to start over.
The French Quarter, locally known as Vieux Carré, is the soul of New Orleans, Louisiana. This city is replete with culture, architectural beauty, and culinary arts. Philadelphia Distilling pays tribute to the unique and colorful history of absinthe in New Orleans with the release of Vieux Carré Absinthe Supérieur. The first batch of Vieux Carré was released on December 31st, 2008. Wow. It is the first legal absinthe to be distilled, bottled, and sold on the east coast of the United States in nearly 100 years. VC's flavor and color are derived exclusively from 100% natural herbs. The flavor is complex with familiar anise notes and a balance between sweetness from star anise and the bitterness of wormwood. The deep green color is reminiscent of a vintage jewel. The spirit is not over-filtered, preserving the flavors extracted through the natural coloring process. A minuscule herbal particulate is natural if found. VC is batch distilled using a double maceration process featuring the mysterious grand wormwood and petite wormwood. Green and star anise, fennel doux, lemon balm, juniper, hyssop, and spearmint complete the complex flavor profile. VC is an original artisan spirit that combines historic processes with a modern expertise. Vieux carré, absinthe supérieur. And
Dan was like, I'm just about to get started while you're reading. I'm just going to go ahead.
As he should. This is 60% alcohol, 120 proof.
Oh my gosh.
And we're going to have ourselves a good time.
We're going to take a shot of this only because we did not have the
What
time
about me?
or the preparation to do the...
What about me?
You can have some. It'll be more here when you get back.
It'll still be here. You can have some.
All right, man.
Spider-Man.
But, right?
Sounds like it's going to be a fun time.
What I was going to say
60%.
is, for absinthe, you normally do what's called the ritual. However, we did not have that in place to do so at the moment. And so, we're just going to do a shot.
And then we'll discuss what we feel.
Technically, this is a double shot.
Yeah, I saw that I was like, now that I'm looking at this cup, it looks bigger than what is normally provided.
Y'all are drinking 60%. Y'all are drinking 120 proof. So I need y'all to keep that in mind.
Yes.
We stay great out here.
All right.
Salud.
Kanpai.
This is me putting my invisible shot up at the camera because I don't have.
Makes you want to dance.
Oh, I'm hearing moaning back there. Y'all are?
So, bam,
Yeah.
So, in small doses, licorice is actually a flavor that I don't mind.
Fair.
Some might say I even like it. But in a double shot that you just take to the head, it can be a bit much.
There's a fire.
I was about to say, your belly could get warm.
Oh. Okay, what was the flavor? Explain to us.
The
I mean, I'm
flavor
hearing
is
licorice.
straight black licorice. Like, if you ever
That's
had the black jelly beans or licorice, like anything that is licorice flavored, that is exactly what this tastes like.
I'm not processing this correctly at the moment.
I've recently had star anise. We actually bought star anise because we were making some mulled wine. And so I've smelled it, and like literally the smell, taste. This is liquid star anise. Yeah, it would probably be a great mixer, but like,
oh, you only put a splash of this in anything.
So
I don't feel well.
Oh no, you might have to cut.
I'm looking for my water.
Right there, ain't it?
I couldn't see it. I was concerned.
And that there is a difference between 45%
and
60%, yo.
You're right about the
I don't blame
you want
you.
to dance type thing, because all I feel is like Adele right now. It's just like, there's a fire starting.
Really?
In my heart. Like I'm very warm at this all of a sudden.
Why start with a double, y'all? Y'all was being risky tonight.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say to that, but
there's no answer. But yeah,
I didn't realize it until
taste
like
the
later.
wormwood on the back end, because wormwood is bitter. It's a bitrant in all of the words that you can like. I'm still.
So you're getting bitter
on the back end. It goes down pretty smooth at first.
I would disagree.
On the tongue, it's not awful.
Okay.
Back here?
Well, What is the alcohol though? What is it?
The human body was like,
it's an absinthe.
What are you doing? Yeah, it's absinthe.
It's like a liqueur, I guess.
Well, how
messing with my throat. I don't think I can speak.
Did either of you? Well, Josh, did you hold it like in your mouth?
No.
Like to get the flavors out? Oh, so you just like
it hit my tongue.
You just got it.
Yeah, it hit my tongue, rolled back, and I swallowed.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I didn't rush it. I was like,
yeah, you're supposed to hold it.
Oh, looks like one of us did the right thing. Depending on your results.
Dan did the right thing
and suffered for it.
Maybe he did the wrong thing.
For every action, there is a reaction.
My stomach
equivalent exchange.
You're right. My stomach is doing flips right now.
What does your stomach need right now?
I don't
know. Probably
a
cracker and some bread.
Probably.
Or some bathroom.
Or some bathroom.
Some alone time.
If I do get up in somewhere in between this episode,
it'll just be cut.
It'll be cut.
But no, yeah, this was
Jesus Christ.
It was interesting. It definitely is a mixture first. Single shot, maybe never unless it's like a dare, you know?
Don't.
Really?
Listen to me. If someone dares
I want to get a sense.
If someone dares you to do this, love
sensing
yourself.
some drama. I'm sensing some drama.
I think single shot you could do.
Maybe.
That's what I said. I said single shot you could do.
The
double, don't do that. Right now. Just
whoa.
Did you eat?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you should have ate more.
Chicken tacos.
60% will rip through whatever you ate. And that's a double.
That's not true because we've had a lot of 60%.
Have we?
No. Kraken? We've had 60%.
That's not 60. That's like 45.
Yeah.
That's like 45, 46.
Yeah.
60%, 47% is when you really start to feel the burn.
Right.
So you're at 60.
I mean, but I used to be able to like drink Everclear.
Yeah, but then you had kids and life
had Everclear in them quite some time.
But life be happening.
I used to do straight shots of Rumplemint back in my heyday. So
love yourself, King.
Wow, yeah. The worst I went was 151, and after that, I was like, not going anywhere else. Don't need to touch the ceiling with this one.
Yeah, 151.
This felt like we still gotta rate it. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I'm waiting on like the review.
When's the actual
reaction?
Review?
I enjoy the reaction.
This
but
is
the
probably
review.
like the most in depth of a reaction we had to give anything.
Yeah.
Except for what was that really bad thing we had?
You're saying words and I don't know.
No, it was wasn't it a rum or something we had, or brandy?
I don't know. But what I would give this out of 5. I might.
I feel like we have to do the ritual first to really give it the appropriate score for absinthe. But
sure,
as a shot,
I was about to say, as a shot, I would probably give it like a 2. For the double amount. I really think it was the amount that we did was like not good. We should have thought about that. Hindsight is 2020.
Yo.
But
this shows me how unprofessional we are, like, or at least unrefined.
I'm really happy that I wasn't there for that.
Ooh, dodged the bullet.
Oh my goodness!
But
I don't feel well, is what I'm saying.
All right, let us know if we need to put like an animation right there, or like a picture of you right there while you step off.
It'll be the hang in there cat.
But yeah, no, that was an experience.
Yeah. Oh, I still gotta give it a score, right? Mm-hmm. Stick with me here. Like I said, I feel like paired with something else, probably not a problem. Like it. I feel like cocktails that partner with
happen.
this, but that didn't happen.
Got it wrong.
I wasn't too big of a fan of the star anise. Because I'm not a big fan of licorice. However, that's not the only ingredient here. So I will say I'm giving it a 1.5. Just like off the shot.
Whoa.
Off the shot.
Yikes.
That's understandable.
I mean, that's your frame of reference.
From absinthe, people don't take shots of absinthe. Like it's prepared.
Yes, we were quite uncouth today.
Like this was, like I said, uncultured of us altogether.
They're gonna be like, what are these 22-year-olds doing on making a podcast? I'm taking these risks like they don't gotta work tomorrow.
Yo,
I'm happy that they think we're 22.
Right.
making these decisions.
Y'all too, yes.
Moving on to news, because if I think about something else, I might be okay.
Can I share maybe my trash boost, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
So unlike y'all,
first of all, you came in with the hate, so no, you can't give your.
That's
your
not hating.
Oh no.
I have some
unlike
old.
Y'all. Go ahead. I'm done.
Last week, a friend of mine came over and we played Legos, or maybe the week before, we were beginning to build Legos, and he left his some people call it thought juice, but like he left his like thought juice in my freezer.
What is this thought juice?
I'm gonna go break her out right now. This is
it the same thing we call thought juice here?
I doubt it.
Well, I think everybody maybe defines it differently.
Right.
I don't call anything thought juice, but my friends do. So this here is a Jim Beam classic highball. It's bourbon and seltzer. Yuck. With a hint of citrus.
Nah, that's not thought juice to me.
Sounds like thought juice.
I was about to say I can see why it would be under that umbrella.
It could fall under that umbrella, but the iconic thought juice over here is,
Is
rosé.
it White Claw?
It's rosé.
Really? Okay, maybe
that's
be like
Moscato.
Is it Moscato? It is Moscato.
What? I thought thought juice was supposed to be like this alcohol, like the seltzer.
No,
that's thought juice.
Thought juice, Moscato is thought juice to us here.
That might be a generational thing.
To the rich men, it's Moscato.
What do you mean? Moscato is like a low shelf wine for most times.
But thought juice is White Claw. The stuff was like, yo, only got $3, yo.
Thought juice is barefoot.
But I'm trying to
Moscato.
get busy.
I think it's the idea, intent, and principle behind the purchase.
Does, right.
But yes, I can see White Claw, the Jim Beam, Moscato, all of those things. Because during college,
that's what all you have access to, right?
Exactly.
Nobody's drinking wine at a party. They're just drinking these because it came in like a pack of 4.
Or Moscato.
Or Moscato.
Because it's
tiny bottles of Moscato.
No, they can
Nobody
be full
did
bottles.
that.
They could be full bottles of Moscato, but it was just because it was sweet, and it's like, oh, this goes down easy. This tastes like juice, like
that. Okay, we can talk about the. So how about we meet each other halfway? We meet each other halfway and just call it gross alcohol. So I had a sip of this last week, and it was absolutely disgusting. But it was also room temperature. But I put this in the refrigerator,
sure.
So I'm gonna take a sip.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Jim Beam, slurpy slurp.
We called it thought juice. This is disgusting. It tastes like.
This is the
most
maybe off the rails episode we've probably done in a while.
Off the rails too.
Yeah, maybe.
It tastes like Jim Beam with maybe an ounce of Jim Beam with 2 gigantic ice balls in it that melted.
Oh, so like a watered
down
Jim Beam.
And stood overnight.
Mm-hmm. Stood overnight.
Yes. So this is what this tastes like.
Right? Yeah, you said it's a seltzer.
It's a seltzer, 5%. Yeah. It's kind of gross, but I'm gonna do my best to finish it. But I also have a Red Bull over here.
There you go. Also know what we're not gonna do is have any more of this tonight.
Might as well.
This is going away.
Smaller doses, guys.
Cobb's maybe trying to take over the show.
Cobb's like,
kill yourself.
Do it. Smaller doses, y'all. A half an ounce to maybe get the flavor.
No, I'm done.
Come on, guys.
I'm.
Yeah. Are y'all really 22?
No, we are not. I have kids. I have to work.
So, booze was fun. Let's talk about some news.
Yes.
Now you say that you have kids and you have to work after you made this choice? Wow.
I want everyone to know I'm still struggling over here, but we got a show to do. Real quick, if you haven't heard, you will be certainly hearing now. Jason David Frank has passed, and you know, whether you're aware of the details or not, that is completely up to you. What we won't do here is talk about those circumstances. However, what we will do is just acknowledge, that sometimes the best of us are very lonely. And it is your responsibility to know someone that may be going through that and be the hero for them. So to make sure that they're not alone or make sure that they don't feel alone, do your utmost. Use your superpower of just being a friend. And that's all I will say about that, because I'm still processing this, and I don't know why it hurts as much, but I think largely due to my childhood and nostalgia, this is triggering in a way that doesn't really make sense for me. Because a lot of it has to tie to like this nerd identity, this Blerd identity that I have. A lot of that stems from Power Rangers. And, if you know anything about Tommy as a Power Ranger, like he was out here doing it. He was a villain first.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
And then showed up as Mr. Steal Your Girl. And then became the Red Ranger. Well, no, White Ranger, then Red Ranger.
Right? Wait, what was he before the White Ranger?
Green
He was
Ranger.
green? Okay, yeah. All right.
I mean, my man was able to play a flute through a mask that had no mouthpiece. Like,
he was also extremely handsome, as most of the Power Rangers were. They were just handsome people.
I can't.
But I think
I can't speak to that. But sure, you can.
Handsome people is just a very general,
Yeah,
non-sexualized term.
Like the black dude with the blue eyes.
I didn't think he was handsome.
What black dude with the blue eyes?
The black dude with the blue eyes. You know him. He is iconically Mr. Steal Your Girl.
The bull from Bridgerton?
I think his name is Michael Ealy.
Oh, no.
Oh.
He's a problem.
He also didn't age very well.
Well,
whatever.
That's not this stuff.
I don't want to argue about it. We're not arguing about it.
Yeah,
but
I'm not gonna argue for it. But
they had a iconically handsome cast. That's what I remember on the most about like Power Rangers, but he stood out to me the most. And I don't know why.
Ponytail. It was the ponytail.
It was the ponytail.
Because he was very masculine with a ponytail.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I whip my hair back and forth, but he still.
And he actually like fought for real. Like he actually studied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a martial artist, so that made it so much more compelling.
And he was one of the few actors who carried the torch even after his runs were
way after.
Yeah, for a very long time.
It wasn't like in a sad way.
No, like he really cared. I think he truly cared about the IP and wanted to see it go somewhere.
And he knew the impact that he left on his fans.
Yeah, he was still doing tons of cons.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends met him and took photos with him and had conversations with him. So he seemed like
fan base
a really great guy.
He was making sure that even people who were kind of like on the fringes of it, they were cast members, was making sure that everybody came back for like reunion episodes and things like that. So.
Sometimes I wonder, like you made a good point about people that seem the happiest or people that seem like, they're just a great person. That doesn't necessarily negate life, right? Yeah. Or like the pains that we have. And sometimes I think what we've seen in history is just, and maybe in our own lives, is we got this idea that when people feel bad, they do bad. Mm-hmm. And it's very obvious, but actually in some cases it can be on the reverse, where people may be feeling really bad inside and doing really good work on the externally. And I think, not to sort of veer too off, but I'm not really huge on celebrities anymore, but one of the biggest celebrity passings that impacted me the most was Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. Now that one was like hit me hard. Like really hard, especially hearing and seeing videos of him with his kids like a day before, 2 days before. And it's just like, wow, like he seems so happy, but we don't really know what people are thinking or feeling. Mm-hmm. And again, like it kind of goes into that idea that we don't really treat celebrities like people. We kind of see them as more than like gods or bigger than people, to the point where we don't accept or expect pain. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes
not saying that
it doesn't translate. Sometimes it just doesn't translate because you're the fan, and it's not going to necessarily be received the same way, because you're just going to constantly congratulate them and thank them for what they've put and poured into your life, and not necessarily the other way around. So like I'm not saying that it was our our personal responsibility to reach out to him and, make it our goal to keep him here. At the same time, there's people that are on a smaller scale of celebrity, but still celebrities to us because they're our friends. And it's our responsibility for those people to feel seen, heard, and loved. And that's kind of where I stand on that, because you can't save everybody. And choices are still choices. But
you can't save anybody, actually. I would argue you can't save anybody that can make choices.
But at the same time, you can also impact those choices by just being a present friend.
For sure.
So
I
be
agree
present and love. That's all I got to say about that. To move on to other news, just wanted to pull this up here. Donny Cates is exiting the Hulk comics.
Who?
Donny Cates.
Is he a illustrator, a writer?
He's a writer. He's known very famously for the last, not the current run of Venom, but the last run. He did a lot of new things with the Venom run, and so he then Marvel transitioned him over to the Hulk, which has been mediocrely accepted, I guess, as canon. I personally, that's how I feel about it, but that's my opinion. We'll move on from that. But well,
So you mediocrely accepted him?
As the Hulk writer, because he did such great things with Venom, I was very excited.
Mm-hmm.
But Al Ewing had just did this amazing run of 42 issues of the Hulk, the Immortal Hulk, which has gone on to win awards and prizes. And for Donny Cates to have to follow up on that and not really continue that story and kind of take it in a direction that makes almost next to no sense. Literally, the Hulk turns into Odin. I'm sorry. The Hulk turns into Thor after the Thor turns into the Hulk. Doesn't make sense, right? I'm not going to talk about it. Moving past it. So, these are things that happened. Sure. And the last piece of news is that many people find the God of War game, God of War Ragnarok, to possibly be one of, if not the best God of War game to ever be brought into rotation, I guess. I don't know. Brought to
Forefront?
Fruition? Yeah, fruition. Creation. I don't know if I agree because I haven't played the game yet, but it's being widely accepted by most people, largely due to Christopher Judge's acting. If you've seen any of the behind-the-scenes videos, he actually poured his heart and soul to this. He said it was a love letter to his children, an apology to his children as well. Can't really break that down because I don't know what that means, but his kids know. And that was my pieces of news.
Cool.
Joshua? Because I see Joshua's news here. Cabo, jump over to you.
The main thing is just that there is a ton. I mean, I feel like people who would watch this may or may not know. I don't know. But there's a ton of highly anticipated anime coming out next year.
Oh, yeah.
One of them being you have Hell's Paradise, the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Let's go.
You have apparently FLCL Grunge. That might be very interesting. Record of Ragnarok season 2. Take it or leave it.
Asked for this, but what we
Take
watching?
it or leave it. Dr. Stone season 3. Solo Leveling, which is like,
what is that?
Solo Leveling is I want to say manga, but it is about
for unlearned men or people. What is a manga?
That is manga done by Koreans. Is the most layman terms. I'm not trying to overgeneralize. That's just
that's enough for me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
What is it? Not High School. The Tower of God.
Tower of God
came from manga.
Thank you.
And I believe that's actually coming out with another season next year, which is going to be. I'm really excited for that. But Solo Leveling is a guy who I believe he's either playing a game or he just finds himself in like a dungeon, and you literally are seeing him grind out to get to. You know how in Sword Art Online, it's just a time skip, and Kirito is like level 100 killing folk.
Yep.
I feel like this one is about you actually seeing him like
get to
grinding
level 5,
away,
level
like
7.
So
okay.
I
might watch
really
that. That sounds like something I would watch.
Apparently the manga is really good. So there's just a ton of new anime coming out.
You didn't say One Punch Man. I need to know when that comes out.
I'm sure it is coming out. My handicap is that I've read past where the anime is. So
you don't care.
I'm kind of like, yeah. But yeah, so that's really my news. Anime 2023, it's coming at you.
It's lit.
Coming at you hot.
Cobb, what you got for us?
Not a lot. It's funny because you know, Dan, you took like the comic book route, and Josh, you took anime, and I think maybe the expectation was that in my head I was like maybe I should take video games. I kind of called it with God of War. I had said God of War was. I called it game of the year. I do believe. I know you said game like the best God of War. I think I would agree.
My phrasing. Yep.
I know. I would agree that I think that this is the best God of War, but that's coming from someone that did not enjoy the original God of War games because they felt very generic. At least in gameplay. In gameplay, it felt a bit generic. But the news that I have is just like basic movie news. So. The new Avatar, I believe, comes out this year, maybe in a few weeks.
December 15th, if you're going on a Thursday, or
the Way of Water.
Way of Water.
Yeah, and it just do it. I mean, I probably won't, but
might go see it in 4D, just because.
Okay.
Whatever
that is.
The chair moves and
you get wind.
You get wind in your face and. Spritz of water. It's
that the thing they did.
Yeah,
the thing that they did at like the Franklin Learning Center and stuff like that when they had those short films that were like the thing would come out. It's like that's just too stimulating. I'm trying to like.
We saw Thor that way.
We did.
Oh my god, that seems like a lot.
It was a lot for Thor.
It was
unnecessary for Thor.
Unnecessary for Thor, but I feel like with all of like the riding and swimming that's in Avatar. It probably makes more sense.
But I don't want to be sprayed with water.
It's a personal choice, right? But like having gone to Disney World and the Wild Kingdom or Animal Kingdom or whatever that park is, they have the Avatar ride there.
The Avatar Flight of the Navigator.
Exactly.
That was dope, though.
That's what I'm saying.
But the idea is that
this is probably going to be the same way.
No. But the idea is that those things
absolutely not.
Those things work with shorts, like really short, like a couple minutes. But they're saying like 3 hours, maybe 2.5 to 3 hours. Of this.
I prepared myself to they strap you into a seatbelt and all that. You gotta make sure.
I mean, that definitely feels like an experience. Maybe before, like maybe watch the movie at home or maybe watch it. Regularly before and then do the. But anyway, that wasn't what I'm reporting. I don't care about
drink
Avatar,
absinthe on it. But go ahead.
Do not drink absinthe. But what I was gonna say was I don't know whether it was James Cameron or somebody else, but they said that the movie the budget for the movie is so expensive that in order for them to break even, the movie needs to gross about as much as the third or fourth highest grossing film in movie history in order for them to break even. So that speaks to the budget, right? That means that the budget.
One of his movies, though.
Yeah, I think Avatar for the past like decade it's been number one, and then I think Titanic beat it. It's between Titanic and Avatar.
Really?
It's been that way since Avatar came out. Actually, Titanic held it, but I think when Titanic was re-released a couple years ago, I think it may have passed it, but then Avatar passed it again.
So currently, as it stands, Avatar is number 1, Avengers Endgame is number 2, Titanic is number 3, and The Force Awakens is number 4.
Wow.
In China alone, I'm not worried he's going to make his money back.
I feel like when the first Avatar came out, that to Alicia's point, there was a lot of marketing about like, oh, like
the
cameras they're using, like this is made for.
He's been working on this movie for 7 years.
Like
IMAX.
I see what you're saying, but like there was marketing that made you want to be like, oh, like what's this about? And then I feel like a lot of people saw it and they were like, meh.
But also, like, technologically speaking, back then there was a lot of that was at this point where, like, in film we were at this certain point, and then Avatar, I think technologically and visually speaking, I think set this bar.
Yeah.
But now we're at this place where the bar is constantly, like, especially with these Marvel movies, right? Like large, super large budget movies that have great visuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much Avatar will be able to stand on that leg of visualization when it's the market is just so competitive now when it comes to visuals and budget. So they're not like this anomaly. They're not
he's
this anomaly
blame
anymore.
it on superhero films, like nobody wants to see this movie because of superhero films.
And that was my second news.
Don't be bitter because you suck.
That was their second news.
And that was my second news, was about Quentin Tarantino, who has been in the news lately. I think he may be developing a television show, but so there's been a lot of talk about Quentin Tarantino, when he recently came out saying, like, critiquing Marvel films, and obviously Marvel films, that's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to come at them. But he basically made this statement saying, like, yo, that's not really, like, Marvel films are kind of ruining film. And he said that in Marvel films, like, these characters, like Chris Evans is not famous. We're not going to see Chris Evans. We're not going to see, I can't even name Marvel actors, Chris Hemsworth. We're going to see Thor. We're going to see Captain America, right? Like, he's saying that the reason why these films are so successful is because of the fandom of the characters, not necessarily the film work or the actors. So he's critiquing Marvel, and I think that there's like that bitterness of, like,
I was about to say he sounds better.
I was about to say
he's no longer the man. He's no longer the man. Like, he was like the man of film for a very long time, and he hasn't been doing much lately. And that's why he's in the news right now, is because he loves to be provocative, and he's also apparently developing a television show.
I mean, if he would hurry up and put out a Kill Bill Volume 3, that's
not happening.
Like,
no,
if he did that, like,
it's supposed to be the spinoff about the daughter.
Oh, about the daughter? Nobody was like,
and everybody.
It feels so fancy. It feels so fan servicey. I feel like that's why he wasn't doing anything, because everybody was asking, and that seems him, like, not doing what the world wants him to do feels very Quentin Tarantino. That's my news. Quentin Tarantino is upset, and James Cameron is very ambitious. That is the news of white men in film today.
I'm not worried that James Cameron going to make his money back.
I'm hearing entitlement, and I'm loving it, and it's just entitlement on both sides of the spectrum. Like, I'm angry, and I need to make $2 billion next week.
But that's not why we're here. We're here to review some stuff.
Reviews.
Most of this might make the cutting floor, and then Josh will turn it into clips later. Who knows? But we're here to review Atlanta. Mostly season 4, but Atlanta as a whole, since the series is done.
So what out of 5, what would we rate Atlanta as a whole piece of work?
A whole piece, because it is complete, right? So it's not that you have to rate it based on seasons anymore. I'm going to give it a 5 because I don't know how to perfect on it.
Y'all are nice men.
Fair.
And the reason, that's what I'm saying, like, I can't.
I like how she said y'all.
Right,
like,
y'all.
You gave one score in it, but we both got lumped in. It's great.
Right. I gave my score. Josh didn't give it. But only because I don't know if there's a way to improve upon it based on what was given to us. Because you could ask for either more representation, you could ask for more deep dives into some of the B stories, but they gave you what they gave you intentionally. One, so that you craved more or wanted more, of the mythos that they were creating, and then secondly, it felt complete based on the people who wrote it and directed it. So
interesting.
That's where I stand on it.
What say you, Cobb?
3.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Well,
Spoiler alert.
So we're out here speaking for each other now.
Right. You out here claiming y'all, but this is not about you and I beefing.
Can
right
we
now.
be? Can we be? Yeah, because you're like trying to start.
I'm not.
And I'm just like, trying to be adult about this. I'm not the one that just drunk a double shot of absinthe.
My stomach still hurts.
Deal with it. That's what I have to say about that.
Proceed.
So I would say that I think that I would probably give it about a 4.5. And I think the only reason why I probably wouldn't give it a 5 is because the first season and the second half of the second season I saw a very long time ago. And I don't feel like I was watching it I think I was watching it more out of, okay, everybody's talking about it, more than I was about watching it for what it was. So I want to be honest with myself and promise myself to rewatch it with more intent, because I think that the show, even though like I'm not a big fan of Donald Glover as a rapper and even as like a speaker, I think that I think I would be lying if I said after finishing the show that I think I would be lying if I said he wasn't a great writer. Maybe it just doesn't translate well in stand-up comedy or when he's literally talking or in music, but at least in like writing stories for himself and other characters, I think he does a really, really great job. And so do the other writers too. So I really every episode felt very intentional and complete. And at the end of the episode, I always felt like, yo, that was good. Like, I don't have to watch the next episode. I don't have this desire to binge it. I've got a story. And I really appreciated that about the show. I really just appreciated the intentionality and vulnerability of the characters. So I think, and it felt very Black to me. So I appreciated it for that.
Cool. I would give it a 4.9 only because of personal, I guess you could call it pettiness of wanting. I wish there was a bit more of a arc to things, and more of like a connected story. I'm happy with what I got, but what would have like made it like chef's kiss would have been like an actual storyline and story arc from beginning to end. But I know that is a very personal thing, but it's my personal score. So that's why I give it a 4.9, but I enjoyed everything that I saw. I just wanted more, I would say. So yeah, I give it a 4.9.
All right.
I appreciate that. To that point, not to counter you or anything, but usually that's kind of like, I kind of like it when it's like, all right, what's the story? Like, we can do the side missions and everything, but what's like actually happening here? But I also like this idea of like people just living their lives, just like these crazy things happen and I happen to be there and I have to deal with it, or I'm not special, right? And I think that this show does a really good job at like, Earn's not really special. Paperboy is not really, nobody is really special or the chosen one in that show. They're trying to live their lives, either doing nothing or something, or trying to get a job, just trying to make money. And I think that that's why I appreciate like the little anthologies and single stories, because it's like, yeah, I'm trying to advance my music career and be rich and be famous, but also like, I got to do this thing today. And that's the episode, is me just like having to do this other thing, me just trying to get my hair cut. Right. For something. And now I just happen to be caught up. Yeah. I just happen to get caught up into this when I'm trying to be a rapper, but I got to deal with that. And that's the episode. So something that should be very monotonous, right, and easy and routine ends up being something that they didn't bargain for, and that's the show. So I think I appreciate that versus like an arc.
Yeah, I totally, and that's why it's very like just. I wish I just would have had like. I guess I wish it would have been longer so that we could have that stuff, but also a nice bow at the end of like whatever it may be, because also with what happened in season 3 with them all being in Amsterdam, and in season 4 it's never really talked about.
Not at all.
And that was a wild time. Like, even if that was like a month-long period, that is a wild month, right? Like, those are stories. So like,
they're not really referring to it very often in the 4th season.
And so it stuff like that, where it's just like, oh, I wish things were either referenced or like what does Earn do now? Because I thought he was Paperboy's manager, but now apparently he's managing a bunch of people.
I mean, which normally happens once you become a manager.
Sure, but it was just like
they did gloss over it quite.
It was a sentence, and that we just had to accept, which I get it. You don't have time because you have 10 episodes. I mean,
they kind of referenced it when the man in the tree, the one man in the tree or whatever episode in season 3, with the bull being the
that was just
grifter.
drawing on the
sure,
the cultural drifter, because
but there was also a lot going on in the man.
There was so much happening.
But I think the writing was so systematic in that you were like, if you care about the small details of the story or the ongoings of the characters, you can find them in these little nuggets that they drop. Like, Darius just exists.
Mm-hmm.
And, he never does anything beyond simply intentionally exist.
Which is like, how does that work? What job does he have? Like,
I want to know, but at the same time, I don't want to participate. Because
how does he survive?
Like, how does that work? Gave us so much of it insight into how Darius exists. First of all, shout outs to Cree.
A little bit. Yes.
Just like, once I saw her,
she is the person where
full.
The thing is, I don't even need to see her. I just need to hear one word come out of her mouth, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Cree Summer.
Yeah. Like, she's a state. And this show was so good at placing other black famous actors. Just sprinkle them throughout the show. Like, Alligator Man was Cat Williams.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sinbad being in there.
I just saw like his
Drake making a guest appearance.
Right.
His mom stealing
the grandfather,
the granddad.
Like,
oh yeah, light boned, was that the episode?
Light skinned,
light skinned,
yeah.
Which was such a weird episode.
That was a weird one.
It didn't seem like it fit with the rest of the show, but then it did.
And that's what I appreciate. Is like, yo, this curveball.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the same vein, it still made sense, because it's just like Earn goes to the studio and he's like, Paperboy's sitting there and he's just like,
you ain't had to bring
hi,
her
auntie.
Here. Yeah.
You ain't had to bring her here. And he's like, no, I know. And it made sense, because I'm like, we all got a relative like that. Like, there's just one that you just like, you ain't have to bring him here.
And Paperboy knows, because he's in the family, so he knows.
Which brings back to mind, like, they're cousins, right? Like, there's times in the show where
sometimes you forget.
That.
You forget that, yeah.
And, they're all on the group call together.
That was wild. That was funny.
It's just like, I think this show was very intentional in just reminding you that, like, sometimes as one, blackness is not a monolith, right? And then at the same time, we have these shared experiences that we all relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they go to whatever that house, I guess it was in Germany, right? When they go to that man's house, but he got a chicken spot in his house.
Yeah.
Oh, Fernando.
I think that's the man in the tree.
Yeah, that's the man.
Yeah, when they stole their money.
Yeah, and he was
Bull
like,
robbed them.
Fernando's in here, and just like weird stereotype to go to, but he, Paperboy enjoys chicken, and it's just what it is. What it is.
I think what's interesting is, I believe I heard that Donald Glover, I don't know how this works out, but Donald Glover didn't tell them, the execs of Hulu or FX, what the show was really going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably just told them, like, it's about a guy who's trying to be a rapper, but like the Afro surrealism, like it was hinted towards that, like, if he would have told them how weird it was going to be, it would not have gotten picked up.
Oh, no way.
And
there
so,
was
like,
no way this show would have been picked up.
Like, we love you, Donald, but this is a bit
avant-garde.
so like an invisible car, Donald. Yeah. I don't know if this one checks out.
So you know what's crazy? That first episode, I was like, I don't think I'm watching any more of this. And then
but a lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah. I was about to say,
people were talking so much about it.
People loved it.
But I mean, I showed up every week. But that first episode, I was like, I don't really care about watching another black man be a rapper. Like,
yeah. I think maybe that's why I like how they sort of, because it seemed to be like, all right, this show is just about rapper. But yes, it ended up becoming so much more very quickly too.
Yeah. Because that prison episode, to me, I still quote that one.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Many times. Like, people be weird around me. I just like, stop being weird, nigga. Like, I can't. There's no way else to say it because he's just like. Ern was like, I just want to get out of this conversation. Like, I can go sit in another seat. And he's like, no, you gonna sit right here. And I was just like,
that was an uncomfortable episode. That was a weird one.
It was a weird one, but at the same time, it's dialogue that happens in black communities that we just try to gloss over or suppress. And I think there was no real way to. The show never gives you a definitive answer on right or wrongs as far as our vernacular and how we speak to each other. But it does. It identifies both sides of the conversation a lot of times, like the big payback episode. Like, uncomfortable. Yeah. Because if we really asking for reparations, like, America's in debt across the globe. I don't think I'd ask for reparations from a poor white family, who's no longer living off of success. I don't.
You can clean my stove.
Sure, but even then, like, I don't think I would ever want someone to pay me back in servitude. Because I don't trust white people enough to keep their contract. Like,
that's a good point.
I invite you into my home. The next thing you know, like, we're all like, the next 48 hours episode. Like, no, I don't.
I mean, but the thing is, like, it doesn't necessarily. I mean,
and I will also couldn't see myself bearing down financially. Right, but I also couldn't see myself bearing down, on like someone who's having just the worst luck in their life. Like, you lose your job because you find out that your grandparents were slave owners. I assume.
But the idea is that.
But the idea is every white person has a relative who was a slave owner. I just assume that. That's just how I live my life.
But the thing is that that's not likely because there were not actually a lot of slave owners.
Right.
But I would think that if there was like a thing about with reparations or like this idea of servitude, it wouldn't be like the individual white people doing the service that would be paying. It would be the state. Mm-hmm. The state would be providing the service or the funds. It wouldn't be like, yeah, here's this white person for you that we're providing.
I also couldn't see the government giving the money back either.
But I'm saying if there were to ever be any kind of
right,
no, you're right. But if there were to be any kind of reparation, it wouldn't be from the individual. It would be from the state. The government sanctioned slavery, so they are the ones that have to be responsible for any reparations. The conversation of reparations, though, I don't know if that's happening, but like I don't know if it will actually happen. But
I don't even think I want it to now. Like, I feel like it's too many generations separated to get any financial gain from it.
Yo, free college. I don't know. Like there's a number of ways that you can give back.
Here's the way you do it. I don't have to file.
It don't got to be a check.
Next 10 years, 50 years, next 50 years, me and mine don't have to file taxes.
File taxes or pay them?
Pay them or file them. File and pay. Like, I just get a year annual check of here. This is what we assume that we owe you, and I don't have to ever go to TurboTax for the next 50 years of my life. That's my reparations. That's how I want this to go. I never want to meet the person that's a relative to the slave master. I don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that. I just need the government to cut me my whatever it is that I asked for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a $2 check, right? So
what?
For all the relatives I got, we exist in droves. Okay, that's why.
But all the money that this country has made on the backs of the money that this country is still making from slavery, right? Like Wells Fargo. still making bread off of slavery.
That's
but
that's a conversation that Kanye would have to get involved in, and we can't have that.
Wow.
So
we don't need him talking anymore. But this, I would like to spend a couple minutes talking about the last episode, like the season finale, the series finale episode, and what y'all thought about that. I thought it was a very brilliant episode.
Oh, you got questions? Ask them.
I think that in lieu, I guess not in lieu, but in addition to what I was saying earlier, or like I was saying earlier, when it started off and I was like, oh, like he's in like Inception or like in a loop. Mm-hmm. I was waiting for it to end, and so then with the ending shot of him like looking at the screen, but we don't see what he sees.
Real Inception.
It was like
frustrating.
I love it, but I hate it. Yeah, like it's like this is great, but this is also frustrating.
It's also very familiar. It's a bit familiar too.
And also, I was like, how are they going to show a thick Judge Judy? And then I was like, oh, okay, like she gets up, but like
there's another lady.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
That was so funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And then the fact that like I thought that they being Earn and Van and Paperboy, when they were in the sushi restaurant, thinking that it was like real, or was it real? Was it not real? But then Darius comes in
in a pink Maserati,
and
socks the ball,
and just socks him, and then like he's like, "Oh, I stole it." Like it was very, very masterfully done. Where it's like, I'm sure you could talk in circles for hours about whether or not why or why not it was or was not real. But
they did a good job connecting like Darius's, because I think that we eventually caught on that, all right, Darius is in this loop, but I think the audience believed that at the very least Van, Paperboy, and Earn were not. Exactly. They were living life normally, and for them to sort of make those two worlds meet, that's when it really was like, well, wait a minute, is any of this real?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that was brilliant.
We were always in Darius's dreams.
I thought that, like, I think it was such a masterful way of doing it, because any sloppy way of doing it and you get the like, dude, where's my car? Like, oh, this was all a dream, and it's just like, what was the point of us even watching?
They could have Twilighted us.
And so this was like just a really good way of tying up the season, though not tying it up, but like finishing it.
And I also think it's accurate that if it is a dream, I lean to the opinion that it was a dream. Because if you pay attention to each episode, the wise shaman statements that Darius would often make were like directly related to each episode. Every time you watch Darius in an episode, he said something deep and profound about our culture and blackness and, sense of culture and community. And then you watch the episode and you're like, huh. It's like just like how Darius said. He said something very wise, profound. The episode gave me something very wise and profound, or ridiculous. And you're like, this couldn't happen in real life. So maybe we are living Darius's dream watching these episodes. Because even in the 3 Slaps episode, right? The boy survives, right? Like historical, this is Darius. If you look at it from the perspective of Darius dreaming this, that was his dream, was
that's a big theory though.
That's what I've been that's what I've been holding on to for a long time.
That's a huge mouthful of a theory, because that means you have to provide evidence from 40 episodes.
Sure. The first episode about the invisible car, Darius is the one that talks about it. And then
but you can go episode, so you can give evidence episode by episode reflect
all the story-driven episodes that provide surrealism. Yes. That Darius is a part of, you recognize that he references something that ends up being dreamlike. Like when you go to the Amsterdam episode with Paperboy, he's like, this is some strong stuff. You see the man in the corner that does the whole time loop. Then Paperboy realizes it's himself.
I get a sense that would be lazy.
It's not
like that would be like too cliche.
It's not lazy until you wrap it up with this final episode.
I
But
was literally gonna say, I was like, the only reason why that could check out is that because, as you said, Alicia, in this final episode, we think that they are separate and that they're not like a part of the
Right.
dream at all until he busts in with a pink Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever, and like, and all of the craziness like comes together, and it's like, oh,
all the craziness that has happened in each episode. Like, there's no such thing as a snipe.
I'm not saying that it's not a long shot, but that gives it what is it, credibility. That gives the theory credibility.
I don't think it does, but I'm not going to make a statement that big, but I think that at least my opinion is that the last episode, or this whole question of like was what he was experiencing that episode real or not, or what was real or not, I lean more towards that it was probably real. I think that the writers were inserting things, too much evidence for us to believe that it wasn't. Like on this last episode of Atlanta, they actually touched on it. The idea of Darius saying that a thick Judge Judy is his way of knowing that he's dreaming, that is actually real. That's a real concept. It's called like lucid dreaming, and having those that reminder, kind of like flickering lights, or like this idea of like somebody pinch me, because that's a real thing. Because in dreams, pinching yourself, you don't feel it, so you're not dreaming. Because if you don't feel pain when somebody pinches you, that means you're dreaming. That's based off of a real thing that happens in lucid dreaming. So therefore, like once you get the awareness that you're dreaming in the dream, which is very possible, that's when you can start having some control over it, like conjuring up swords and sticks. Because once the awareness is there, then you can start acting.
And I think that the fact that that is a real thing just speaks to the writing of the team of people behind Atlanta as to why it further digs you into whatever camp, whether you think it's real or a dream or not, because there's just enough realism in the show.
Yeah.
And
that it's like
that's why what Cree Summer said was the most important thing. She gave it away, where it's like, yo, I don't do it anymore because I get the two things mixed up. So maybe at one point it wasn't real, but then maybe it seemed like it was happening. He was in between real and not real, and we have trouble kind of figuring out which one is which, or is it all one or the other. But Cree Summer, I think, gave it away, and she even said like, maybe I'll see you in the thing. Remember, she said at the end, like, maybe I'll see you. Why would she say that if she wasn't doing it anymore? So I think that's she's just kind of
good writing.
It is good writing. It is good writing, but I think like that her being there was intentional. She didn't have to be there. She didn't really make any significant material difference to what Darius was doing or what he did, which is why I think that she was put there for a very specific reason, and it was to foreshadow this idea that he was getting the two mixed up, but ultimately it was real. Ultimately the consequence at the end is real.
I don't disagree with you. I think what you're saying is a very good reason on why you could argue that. I think Dan could also probably spend 5 to 10 minutes on arguing why the very fact that she was there and saying those things
is a form of lucid dreaming.
Is exactly why it was all a dream. And I think that is the masterful demonstration of good writing and why this show was so good. Because
we could all sit here and accept it for what it was, a great show.
A great piece of art. It was, if nothing else, it was a great piece of art.
But I still stand on the theory that this was all Darius's dream.
Sure.
That's how I live my life.
Of course you got to end it like that. Of course you got to end it by saying, you know what? You made a good point, Alicia, but I am standing on this point.
All I'm saying is that your point will garner however many followers and believers in your camp. And when when the battle horns are blown, we'll have enough players on both sides to walk.
And you're gonna win.
No,
because y'all aren't thinkers, man.
No, what kind of hippie do you take me for? At the end of the day, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna walk away with the fact that I lost the argument. I still believe it's a dream, and that's how.
No, what's gonna end up happening is we're just making Donald Glover richer so that he can give us a season 5. The more we talk about it.
I'm fine with the way it ended. I think I'm at peace with it.
If we get that big for that to happen, that'd be a great, that's
I'd
a
love to
great
be that
form
big.
of equivalent exchange.
I'd love
Absolutely.
to be able to invite him on and get the answer.
He wouldn't give.
Give that answer. He'd say maybe this is a dream, and I'd be like, it probably is because we got big enough to get Donald Glover on the show.
Come
and I'd be like,
next
Don.
week where
Right. And the next time you guys see us, who knows? Maybe this was all a dream.
Here we go.
Got ourselves a new running joke. 2023. It's all a dream. But that being said, our season's over. Right? We've wrapped up season 5. Cobb, if we don't say it now, we'll say it. I mean, if we don't say it now, we may never say it. So I want to say it.
Oh, boy. You're firing me.
No, you were phenomenal.
Oh, thanks.
Bringing you into the main canon universe. You were always existing in this realm in the multiverse, but bringing you into the main universe was probably the best decision we made for season 5. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Eventually, you'll come up with
go ahead and tell me you're letting me go. Go ahead, just say it. You don't have to.
What?
You don't have to do this, man. This reminds me of that thing we were talking about, where the girls sit on the hot seat and they're just giving them a stack. It's that thing that you were telling us about.
Y'all funny.
I don't know what's going on.
I know what she's talking about.
No, I know. But we were appreciating you and highlighting the fact that you've done a phenomenal job, and we will see you in season 6. Unless you choose not to be there, but that's not, that's a completely
Is
new
this real?
decision. Sure.
Find
Yes.
out next time.
It was all a dream.
Ball Z.
But yeah, we'll be back next year. And we probably have a few more BNRs in between all of that. But that's for us to decide.
For you to find out.
That's right. Because we are going to be out here reworking this whole thing, rebrandings, all of that, and merch. We're doing all these things and doing this from a smarter perspective. We've learned and we've grown. And so we just want to thank you, Barflies, for sticking with us. And as we always like to say here, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.